Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today I'm going to empty the kiln. I'm not exactly sure how long it's been, but I've been checking it frequently, and I think, of course, the pine on the top is just going to be used to finish off the kiln, so that doesn't need to be down to 10%, but I think it's close. And there's some oak on the bottom that I want to take out and check, and I think it's ready to use actually. So before I came out, I took the cobalt pinless moisture meter and I checked stuff in the house so I could get an idea of a number. Even if this is inaccurate, the number that the house gave me, the measurements from the inside of the house, will give me a good indication of where the stuff is in the kiln. So let's open up the kiln. I got to get the screw gun and open it all up and take down the tarp, and we'll empty out some of it and we'll check the numbers and we'll see if they even come close to the stuff in the house. So let's open up the kiln. Man, the snow is deep out here. I just got some pictures from a friend down on the Gulf Coast, and he's already got cherry tomatoes probably 8 inches tall started. I told him we're not that far behind. All right, let's see here. So that fan, which was squeaking, is not squeaking anymore, and that fan over there is squeaking. I actually I have the replacement fan for that, and I didn't install it because I came out and it wasn't squeaking anymore. I hope the door doesn't rip off. The wind's blowing today. So I'm going to get in here and unscrew all of the tarp, and then we'll start taking off the weights and see if I can get the forks over here. There is an aluminum ladder which I forgot to pull out of and then it snowed. Oh boy, and it's buried in here. All right, so this is what we got. Of course, these blocks were froze to the ground, and the dirt was froze to the ground. So it's all dried out now. I'm gonna get it all over these boards. But that's all the weight I had. I didn't actually put those on. I do have more blocks, and probably next time I'll use more blocks if I can get them out of the ice. The plan is to take all the pine off and put it on the sawhorses on the other side of the kiln, and take all the oak out and put it down in the shop. actually like to leave these in here. They weigh so much. I'm not too worried about the dirt on these because, like I said, these are going to be for the outside of the kiln. All right, I just went inside and rechecked the inside. The stuff in the inside of the house is like 10%. That's measuring 12.5%. Let's see if we can check another board here. Oh, that's saying 11, well, almost 11%. So these are plenty dry enough to use outside. Yeah, so this is what I got out of the kiln. It's ready to go. I think I'm hoping there's enough to do the doors. I'm gonna put diagonal sheathing on the doors. I'm not gonna do that today. That's a whole project. And I'm hoping to do the end walls at least, so I don't continue to poke holes in them when I load it up. Now let's just check the oak here while I've got it uncovered. That's saying 13.5%, so that's still not completely. That's 12.5%. And the inside, the house was 10. That's 11. And that's 11. Pretty close. I did notice we've got some shrinkage happening here from probably drying it too fast. That's 11.5%. It's hard to tell. That says 13. And that's 11. So I am actually gonna take this stuff out and put it down in the shop because I'm actually going to start using it for some stuff, not for like cabinet doors or anything that's really critical that it be completely dry, but I have a need for some other stuff, for some oak, and I'm sick of going to buying oak and paying huge prices when I've got this. So I'm going to take all this stuff out, and we're going to actually load in some clear pine that I sawed, I don't know, a video ago. I guess it was the last video. I'm going to put it in here. It's really not that much. Probably the pile's only going to come this high. But that's all I've got right now because we had too much snow for me to saw anymore. All right, it's all out of the kiln. I did notice this oak, it's got all this checking in there, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it down to the shop. I'm going to cut a section out, and then I'm going to look at the structure inside. I don't know if this was case hardened, and then case hardening is when the outside dries so fast, still moisture on the inside, and the only way for that to get out is for these cracks to form. But I won't know until I cut a section out of this. You know, this was an experiment. This is actually all for me, so I don't really, it's not the end of this isn't a product that's, you know, ruined if that's the case. But I think that oak wants to dry a lot slower rate, so probably the thing to do is to air dry it for a little while and then put it in the kiln, because I really can't control the temperature of the kiln, even with the vents. You know, if it's a sunny day, that thing the other day it got up to 126, so, or 127 or whatever. And so the pine you can dry as fast as you can and it's fine, but hardwoods, this is my first attempt at hardwoods. I do have a bunch of ash that I'm going to put in here when I get around to sawing it, but ash has such a low moisture content to begin with. I think it'll be okay. Anyway, a lot of lost cause. Gonna take it down to the shop and check it out. Well, this is the small pack of pine that I want to put in the kiln. Because I shoveled it off, it's all covered in snow, and I think I'm gonna leave it here. Hopefully it'll, you know, drain off before I put it in the kiln. You see my logic. Let's try to put it in as dry as we can. All right, I'm down in the shop, and maybe if you can see this here, this is a piece of oak that I bought that went through a traditional kiln, and the moisture is 9%. And this is a piece that I just brought down that I planed, and it is like 15%. The stuff that came out of the kiln really isn't dry enough, but I'm not going to put it back in the kiln. I'm just going to, I think it's dry enough to dead pile it in the shop here. And you know, this is the stuff here. I am going to plane it. I might even sticker it in here, just leave it in here. I'm not going to put it back in the kiln. Oak is, next time I do a batch of oak, I'm going to do a complete batch of oak, not just oak and pine, and leave it in there longer. So, I wanted to show you the board in my left hand is the board that I cut off here, and you can see the cracks. Hopefully you can see those cracks that they don't look like they go that deep, which is good. So if we had honeycombing, we would see these big voids in here like this, as the hole insides got ripped apart as it was trying, it dried so fast, the outside case hardened, and the inside it kind of exploded inside. That's not what I'm seeing here. I'm seeing these cracks. They're going in, 1/8 of an inch. So when I planed it, this is the board that came off of there. You can see on this side, the cracks still exist. I'm not doing that. The cracks still exist here a little bit. And I flip it over and there aren't any cracks showing. So I think for my projects that I'm going to use, they're going to be fine. But like I said, I think that I want to try air drying this stuff a little bit before I put it in the kiln next time I do a batch of oak. All right, I'm in my shop and I planed up a bunch of the oak that came out of the kiln, and it is still way too wet to use. Some of the kiln dried stuff that I purchased is about 10% in here, and the stuff that I brought out of the kiln goes from either 14 to 18%. Still way too high. But I want to show you just what I planed up. This is the butt log. This is all of the quarter sawn boards from the butt log. And it's just beautiful stuff. There's no sticker stains on it. And I have to pinch myself every time I'm planing this stuff because, I didn't spend any money to do this except for diesel and fuel for the sawmill. But it's relatively free except for my labor. And it just amazes me. This stuff is so expensive and you go to the hardwood suppliers. But the thing I really wanted to talk about was in this board here, I discussed that I saw cracks formed in here, and even when I planed this, the cracks still exist. But what I noticed when I was planing this quarter sawn stuff, there are no cracks in any of it. And when I went back to this board over here, the stuff that's on the side that's closer to quarter sawn, there are no cracks. It's only, I'll take you down here. It's only where the grain is really flat that there are cracks formed. So I thought that was pretty interesting, that the flat sawn boards are more susceptible to drying quickly than the quarter sawn boards. Anyway, that's my take on it. There you go. I'll just stick this in the video somewhere. Hopefully somebody finds it interesting. I am going to try and keep records or better records of when stuff goes in, what stuff goes in the kiln, when it goes in, the moisture content it goes in, and just keep a notepad of that somewhere. This first batch was really just a test run just to see if it even worked. So, and if I had been more patient and it hadn't been the middle of winter, I'm sure that oak would be right down where it needs to be. But it's going to stay in the shop and acclimate, and I don't need it for a while. And by planing it down, I've gotten rid of some of the material. It's actually planed to 7/8 of an inch, so it'll have a better chance of drying out. There you have it. I'll see you on the next video.